Hi, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Gia Peppers, entertainment journalist, podcast host, and advocate for the people. And I love creating and being in spaces like the one we are about to start. On behalf of the National Black Theater and the Apollo, we are bringing a series of conversations to our community as we lead up to the Gathering, a collective sonic ring shout concert at the Kennedy Center. It's a
Mhm.
sold out performance from the Apollo, and now they're going to blow the roof off right in DC, my native area, my hometown. And we're thrilled to also have one of the performers today with us. Toshi is here. So each week we are going to really get into the themes that this show is going to bring about, like legacy, the importance of community organizing, healing through art, and more. And today we are gathered with some phenomenal human beings to discuss legacy and the lineage we are all connected to. I'm so glad to be here as we start the spirit of the gathering and the rollout week. We are joined today by the icon, the queen, the legend, Miss Beth Ann Hardison, activist, model, and fierce groundbreaker in fashion and all over the world. Hello, Miss Beth Ann.
Hello, Gia. Thank you
Good
for
to
having
see
me
you.
here.
We're so happy to have you. Up next, we have my amazing sister, who is one of the illest voices of our generation, Miss Brittany Packnett Cunningham. She's a fierce freedom fighter, an educator, an activist, a writer, a podcaster, and a leader in justice and slaying these looks. Because this hair this morning, Brittany, okay?
We do what we can. I try to fully take advantage of the black girl options to always do whatever I want whenever I want to do it, especially with these looks and this hair. So thank you very much because you're playing yourself.
Thank you. And you always eat. Okay. We love to see it. And last but not least, we have a brilliant performer who has taken the stage at the gathering, singer, musician, one of the most brilliant talents of our time. Toshi
Mm.
Brigham is here. Toshi, this green today.
It's
Like,
today.
like what is the green representing?
It's like openness, clarity, new birth, new everything. I'm just headed in that direction.
Thank
No,
you.
Beth Ann got her green on too, so we getting it together.
I
Find
love it.
green somewhere. So.
I love it so much. Now, Toshi, I have to start with you because you're the only person that has like experienced this performance. What is this show like for our audiences who may want to head to the Kennedy Center? Tell us a little bit about the adventure of this experience of the gathering.
Oh my God, it's epic. It is wonderful. It is multiple genres of music performed by the individual guest artist and orchestra and all of that. But it's also like a powerful conversation. For me, I am answering a piece by the brilliant Courtney Bryant. And I am working with the brilliant dancer Malik Washington. So you're going to see all kinds of art and creation on the stage. And it's a journey. It's going to take you someplace and lift you up. And at the end, you're going to be walking out of there feeling really strong and really gathered with the rest of the people in the theater. I had such good vibrations leaving after I watched the show, after my piece was done. Everyone should come and get into it. And it's really a unique journey, and I feel like the incredible Nona Hendrix is the one that, like, I don't know if they do it the same, but when we did it at the Apollo, you kind of felt like, oh, I can't take anymore. It's so brilliant. These young singers came out and tore it up and took us to church, and we're just like, okay, we could go home. And then Nona Hendrix walks out and just like takes you even higher. And the whole thing is going to happen to you. So definitely want to come and check us out.
I love that. Toshi just took us on a whole journey. Like now I'm ready. I need to make sure I can be in there. But Toshi, before we get into this conversation, tell me a little bit about as a musician artist, what are your specialties? What are you known for that if people don't know how you get down? Tell us a little bit about how you get down.
I'm like a little bit of a weirdo. I did things really differently than what people say you should do. And I came out, I wanted to be an athlete. And then I lost the ability to run when I was like 12 or 13. And I looked at my mom, who's Bernice Johnson Regan, who everybody in DC will know. The group that she founded, Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Wow.
And I looked at my mom and I said, I'm going to be a musician. And mom was like, okay, don't do drugs. And, learn how to produce yourself so you don't have to wait for nobody else. And my journey really started with me interning at a production company in DC because I grew up there. Nice. And by 17, I produced my first show, and I started traveling. I pretty much co-produced pretty much almost every single thing I've done. And the last kind of big production I did was an opera called Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower, which is an opera of her book Parable of the Sower, which we've been touring. And I did that as an independent person. I didn't know how to produce theater, but me and a bunch of other people did it. So I've kind of had a career that is based in music, the sonic vibration of music, which I think is the holder of home in our bodies and is why we are here. Our ancestors needed a way to survive the horrors that they went through. And I truly believe it is the vibration, the sonic vibration they made within themselves, the home that nobody can take away. And that is why I'm alive today. And that is why I'm on this music trap. And this is why I'm also into making gatherings. So I got to shout out Juneteenth at Lincoln Center. I'm doing my Songs of the Living gathering, which is gathering people to sing together. And we're going to be on the big stage, and Damn Rush is free. And look out for that. But that's my job. I gather people together. I try to tell stories, and I do good concerts.
Amazing. Thank you, Coach. I love that. This is all such a beautiful reminder of the ways that we can carry on the legacies and the trails that our ancestors blazed for us in this new digital era and all the ways, but reminding that like in person still really, really matters, that connection, that community. Yeah. And speaking of community, Brittany, I mean, you've been one of the leaders of our community in so many different ways, and just taking on this mantle of utilizing your voice and your knowledge and your understanding of how to translate to our generation of what's happening and what we can continue to do as a people to show up. And it really feels like that you're a part of a work that is bigger than you. So how do you continue to show up, utilizing your voice, utilizing your skill set to activate communities when the world is in shift mode? We're in transition. How are you?
For sure.
Huh?
I said shift mode for sure.
We haven't got time to really break it down, but right. How are you continuing to show up in all these times of transitions, finding your center, your calm, and still showing up no matter what is happening around you?
Well, I really appreciate that question. And, Toshi spoke so much to the deep knowing that we come to this earth with as Black people, that is ancestral, right? That reaches far out beyond us, both ahead and behind, up and down, right? That there is this kind of 360 experience that we have being Black in the world, that if we choose to tap into it, can be fuel, it can be healing, it can be a source, it can be light in the dark. It is there for you, for all of us to tap into and to ensure that we convert that energy into the things that we are purposed for, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, listen, I'm the child of a Black pastor and liberation theologian. I used to sit in the back of his college courses. And, I got very early tutelage on the Black church, for example, as a social instrument and not just a place of spiritual healing, right? Mm-hmm. As an understanding and a home to community, a creation of safety, and in all the ways that we are doing that and not doing that these days, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had a really early seat to those things. My mother is also an ordained minister, but she's a social worker by training. So like I was the kid watching like the VHS of Eyes on the Prize that my parents sent a paper check to PBS to have them send back the box set. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I was like, the Disney is cute, but also like, what's up with them black and white reels though? Like, let's get into it. So Toshi, I'm a weirdo too, right? Freedom, honestly, let's all be our own type of weirdos. And so like I felt really drawn to that. My parents engaged deeply in social justice ministry. So I also heard the beauty of Black oration, like multiple times a week, right? And the way that we turn a phrase, the way that we capture an audience, the way that we not only inspire, but the way that we always see it as our responsibility to activate. Because I'm not just up here to hear myself talk, right? I'm not making I don't consider myself a content creator, because that would mean that I'm putting things on a calendar to constantly say in people's faces. And that's not my work. That's not my purpose. My purpose is, if I've got something to say, I'm responsible to figure out how it is supposed to be said, if I am the right person to say it, where I should be saying it, and with whom I should be saying it, right? And so if I think about things in that way, I have inherited a certain skill set, but also a certain knowing from that legacy, from ancestors. I also was the kid who got all the report cards. It was like, she's doing great in class, but she talks entirely too much. And then I found out I have ADHD. Oh, please. It all made sense, right? So I was like, well, let me put talking skills to get use, right? Let me put these writing skills to get use. And I think that, to your question about how I still do it, despite everything that's happening in the world, really the answer is how could I not, right? There is, I can't look at Harriet. I can't look at Mother Fanny. I can't look at Mother Ida B. Wells. I can't look at Maddie Moss Clark, right? Who was doing things inside of the church that women were not supposed to be doing, right? I can't look at any of those folks and say, I'm gonna give it up, right? What I can do also is look at those folks and say, while I fight, I will inhabit the belief that abundance is my inheritance, right? That is what my ancestors earned for me. That is what our ancestors earned for all of us. That is what those leaders, whose names we know, whose names we don't, those servants, really, as I like to consider myself, whose names we know and whose names we don't, earned for us. And far too often, they were disconnected from the abundance that they were owed, right? So this idea that organizers, activists, artists who have the kind of lens that Miss Bethann and Toshi do have to, be constantly burnt out, have to die penny, can't leave anything to their family, right? Can't create anything because they've always got to be begging, working, looking for somebody to fund them, right? Or to push them forward. Like this idea that we always have to make other people's dreams come true instead of building our own tables is something that I wholly dismiss. And I dismiss it because of my ancestors. I'll close with this. I tell this story a lot. I had the great honor to go on Finding Your Roots. And I found out about my 4-time great grandmother, Joanna. And she was born enslaved. She died free. She lived to be at least 98 years old. Wow. She had, and let me get up close to say this, 24 children. I got one and I'm exhausted. She had 24 children. But one of the magnificent things about her life is that when you look at the first census after emancipation, you see 3 generations of my family living in 2 houses next door to each other, which means that Joanna was able to keep her progeny from being sold off and separated from one another. And 2 of her sons joined the U.S. colored troops to fight for their freedom in the Civil War. Both of them were killed in that war, and their pensions are what helped our family survive. So when I look at Joanna, when I look at Ebenezer and Lafayette, and I recognize the sacrifices and intentionality that went into ensuring that my bloodline exists, I am here to say I will work to make sure that I make my ancestors proud and that I make my descendants proud. And I will always do so with a mind of abundance and not scarcity, because that is what they earned for me. That is my inheritance.
Yes.
And that's what the gathering is all about, is making sure that we tap into that lineage to keep our inheritance and not let anybody ever take it away from us, and to grab those tools that help us center ourselves in it. The singing, the dance, the music, the drumming, all of it helps bring us back to that rootedness that we all deserve.
Yes.
Come on. The doors of the church are open. If you, Brittany's cast at Brittany Past, I'm just playing. You want to send a tithe? No, that was so good, Brittany. Thank you.
No, I want to hear from all you brilliant people.
I know. I just want to thank you again. Okay, we're right. We only got several minutes. I'll thank you in a text after this. Miss Beth Ann Hardison. My goodness. I watched the doc. I am just blown away by you in every sense of the word. But I am so grateful that you exist for many reasons. And I'm so grateful we get to share this few minutes together, because you've done such an amazing job of motivating and breaking down barriers and showing people how to show up in their fullness, in their Blackness, in their vulnerability, in their womanness, in their intelligence. Yes. And there's so much of that happening right now. We see it on social media. Young women, young men, all young people are learning to almost put on what they are too. And so what do you see right now that gives you hope in our communities? Do you feel like we are connecting to our ancestors and to the past in the right way right now? What are you seeing around you that gives you hope and inspiration, and maybe even some pause that you would like to see improved?
Well, I'm telling you, after listening to Brittany, she does. I mean, when I first met Brittany, I sat next to her at our Gucci Changemakers council meeting, the very first one. And I said to her, I sure want to be you when I grow up.
Oh. When I tell you I was floored for like a good month, I was over there sweating. I was like, this is the original supermodel. I was like, this is our queen, Miss Beth. I'm still deeply honored by that. But I mean, we all follow in your footsteps.
Well, the fact really is, as you think about what your question, it's very interesting in that, you know, my life is very simple to me. I'm a girl who was born and raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, and you just come up just knowing, as now I know, once I've done the film or once I'm writing a book, that actually I came on earth to do the things I've done. I mean, it's just people are born to do certain things, and there's no if and ands about it. But you know, what I would like to see, and what I'm seeing now, is certain people are really doing great things, but it's different because what I've done covered that ground. We're going to see if it stays. I'm talking about the fashion industry. That affected every industry. It affected people who basically were not in an industry. It could be the homeless person. It affected everyone because it gave them an opportunity to be balanced with the majority, quote unquote, since we're the minority, so to speak. The idea really is that I'm very proud to see certain people like the girl that's in my film, Aurora James, who went after people for the 15% pledge. Just an idea, or the passion that someone like Brittany has to go up and fight for people. I feel I'm that same person too, but I do it with a different audience. My audience is much more nimble, much more quicker to get to the point of what I'm saying, because they're not as hard-headed, because they're fashion people. They're not so determined to sort of stick in the mud. They're just not that intellectual or that mad at people. They're creatives. So I think when people say, how were you able to move the needle like that? How were you able to change the game internationally like that? It's because I just believed in the audience. But now I honestly, only thing I want anyone to do, because we're going into a political position that we have to be very frightened about. The only thing I want everyone to do right now, because I can't tell them, we don't have any particular problem right now that's not bigger than that. What we have, the problem that we have right now, is small because it's quiet if we have any problems. But someone like Brittany is still out there knowing there's things people to talk to. What I'm seeing is that we just need to go vote. All I want every young person to do, every old person to do, every person, and consider what you're going to vote for in the long term. That's the only thing I ask of anyone, because everything else is in play. I mean, if we have a problem in a neighborhood or things like that, we can go and address it. But that's small now. It wasn't like when Mr. Floyd lost his life and it changed the game in so many ways, and Black Lives Matter was happening all over the world. That was huge. Or when other young men lost their life because of police brutality, that was huge. Now it's been a little quiet. People still getting shot and people still getting beaten up, but it's on a different level. So it's a little quieter. The biggest thing that's getting ready to happen is what's getting ready to happen to our country. That's where I'm at right now.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Right, right. And I think that all of the answers from today are amazing and brilliant. And I just want to thank you so much. Thank you all for sharing this sacred space. I am so honored that everybody here would be amazing and happy and just y'all are just all perfect. And I'm so grateful that you all exist. We invite you, everyone here, to make sure that you head to the Apollo and the National Black Theater at the Kennedy Center on June 1st for a historic concert, The Gathering, a collective sonic ring shout. If you love this type of conversation, y'all gonna love to see this show in person. So for being with us here today and launching off all of this, we have a 25% off code for you to use at checkout. So check out the G page and use SHOUT25 at checkout. Beth Ann, Brittany, Toshi, thank you so much for being here today. I could talk to y'all for 20 more years, like 20 more minutes, but thank you so much for sharing time with us this afternoon. Everyone, we hope you have a beautiful rest of your week and a blessed weekend, and we hope to see you in DC. Have a good one.
Thank you, Toshi. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, dear.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. It was.
It ain't nobody like us. Come on now.
Hello.
Yes.
Nobody.